Let all the haters and doubters, we gon' show them. We gotta forget about the past and act crazy today. That's what we gonna do all freaking day and every day. Give me what you got. Domination.
What's up, everybody? Happy St. Paddy's Day to one and all. Hope you're enjoying it responsibly like we are. Welcome to the All About the Birds weekly report, the flagship show on this network. I am joined by the A-Team here. We are the A-Team of All About the Birds. I'm Colonel Phil Hannibal Smith. We've got Lieutenant Faceman Chip Keggy. We got B.A. Bad Attitude Johnny Uleka. And we got Howlin' Mad Jeff Warner right here. That's my new my lead for the week here. Love it. We are sponsored by multiple people, but we're going to start the show with our main sponsor, our merchandise store on the All About the Birds website, aatbirds.com/shop. Make sure you check it out. There's free shipping on all merchandise this week through 3/21. So make sure you get over there, purchase the gear to support the brand. We greatly appreciate it. We've got lots and lots of great designs and shirts and hoodies and hats. Everything you can think of, check it out. And, we greatly appreciate that support. Real quick, before we get into the show, don't forget March Madness Bracket Challenge is still going on. Get your brackets in. You see the directions there. You can get the directions also on our website, aatbirds.com. It's a $5 Venmo you send over to us. You get in on the bracket, cash prizes, free merchandise, all the works there. So get in. Got about 30 people so far entered. Let's try to get that up a little bit more and have a bigger prize for everybody, right?
The more that play, the more that pay.
Yeah, I'll say real quick. I know a lot of people reached out to me. I was saying in regards to not having Venmo. If you don't have Venmo, that's fine. Reach out to one of us. We'll make it work through another type of payment. But I'll say
we could do Cash App. We could do all different kinds of things. Yeah, excellent point. All right, so let's go. Obviously today, big day in the NFL. Free agency and the new year has begun. So we're going to dive right into it. The Eagles had a lot of work to do to get under that cap threshold. So, Johnny, with all the moves they made, where are we officially now on Wednesday, 3/17 at 9:20 at night?
All right, so looking at the Over the Cap website, something I routinely check Now they don't have a couple factored in yet, but doing the equations and looking at it, and with the Rodney McLeod restructure and Jake Elliott, along with the Brooks and BG, Eagles probably close to around, I'd say, $4.5 to $5 million under the cap. That's how much space they have. So of course it's not
But
very
of course,
much,
that does not count the $12.5 million to our draft picks or whatever it is, 10.5, $12.5 million. So they still have more work to do before they can even remotely start talking about hire or signing a free agent or two. So guys, I'll ask you guys, what else do we need to see? I mean, I know there's a lot of Zach Ertz talk and other things out there like that. Where are we going to get the rest of our cap money to just sign our rookies? And then where are we going to get the rest of the cap money to sign somebody else?
I don't know. This has been the most boring beginning to free agency on the planet. The most boring. I'm like getting ready for the show. I know, but I'm over here getting ready for the show. I'm like, oh, free agency. And I'm looking at all these players signing. I'm like, yeah. And then I went, the Eagles got Adrian Killians.
Oh. See, yeah, I wanted to make an Adrian Killins joke later, so I'll make it again later in the day. Okay, don't worry.
We can make the joke all we want because that's the only move they've made.
Well, it's the only move they can make.
The biggest move that came out of the Philadelphia Eagles camp today was the thing that happened a month ago when they traded Carson Wentz.
That I'll say, did you guys see the tweet?
God.
The Eagles are getting a little bit ahead of themselves. It was funny. I'll say the Philadelphia Eagles, when they announced the trade, they put what was the compensation. They said first round pick, where the Colts said compensation second round pick. So the Eagles are recounting their chickens before the eggs.
So, our boy GT, over in England, he keeps telling me it's not officially a first. He always looks at the negative. He doesn't want to like jump to conclusions. Well, the Eagles just jinxed themselves into making him right there. So obviously Zach Ertz trade. We're going to talk about that in a second. Yeah. Derek Barnett is something I want to talk about. They didn't do anything with him by 4 o'clock, and that guaranteed his $10 million for next year, which now eliminates the cutting aspect of what you could do with him.
Yep.
You can still trade him. You could restructure him. We'll start with Jeff. What are they going to do with Derek Barnett? Are they going to trade him, restructure, or just let him play out the $10 million?
I would say it. I don't know. I'll say just for the fact. I'll say because honestly, I thought he was out of here. I'll say I thought he was going to get cut. I really feel that I'll say if anything, they're not going to get the compensation for him, so they might just let him ride out this $10 million. Unfortunately, I'll say because unless he wants to be here long term, I'll say he's not going to restructure. I'll say if he's not going to bet on himself, he's not going to restructure a long-term deal for the same amount or less money. He's going to go into this year as a contract year, a prove-it year for him to show what he can do to the Eagles and the rest of this league in his eyes, and he's going to gamble. He's going to play the gambling game, I feel. So I would say unless they get the compensation, he's sticking around. He's going to play that $10 million. I don't see a restructure, unfortunately.
Chip?
Well, why would he? Why would he restructure? You know what I mean?
Well, because you get more money guaranteed. If he takes this year's $10 million and they offer him a 4-year with $20 million guaranteed or something like that, or $28 million guaranteed, now you're just getting – so it's betting on yourself is one thing, but in the NFL with injuries and other issues,
right? I think with me, and I look at with this move specifically. Look, Derek Barnett is somebody who is coming up on the end of a contract, right? Yep. And defensive ends in this league make bank. So he's going in with a new coach, an entirely new scheme. He's going to see how he likes it. If it works for him and he works for the team, then they'll come to some sort of agreement because he is such a high draft pick. He is such a young guy, and you do have aging defensive players. With that being said, you want to pay me $10 million and maybe I get to go elsewhere? Okay, fine. Like, he's not going to restructure. He's going to play for $10 million. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Johnny, so if they don't do anything with Derek Barnett's contract outside of a lane, don't they have to? Because outside of a lane restructure, there isn't many more moves that the Eagles can do to get like 15 or 20 below the cap so that they can even make minor signings. They have a roster to fill out. They need a backup quarterback or two. They need so many pieces right now. So unless they restructure Derek Barnett and Lane Johnson, there really aren't many other options, correct?
Well, there's a couple avenues they can go. So the Ertz trade, of course, or released whatever.
I
they
think
do
I
on
read
that
somewhere
point.
trading him's about $5.5 million in cap savings.
Okay.
Yeah, you save money there, whether you cut or trade him. It's basically the same thing. Fletcher Cox, 12 to 15 million. If you restructure him, you could save just 12 to 15 million dollars. The Malik and Alshon cut saves you $4 million after June.
Okay.
Okay.
So that
So-
doesn't help us now, though. So that'll help us down the line.
It helps you down the line, but the Cox restructure is something I could see happening. The reason Lane not restructure is because they restructured Brandon Brooks. They both were the same amount of money, basically. And with Lane's injury history, do you really want to restructure and keep pushing money when I understand
Brandon Brooks is the same exact situation.
but you can get out of Brandon Brooks a lot earlier and more easily than if you were to do a Lane and restructure Lane. So you can save money. They can free up money. Like we talked about, Avonte Maddox, $2.1 million you can save, you get rid of him. There's players they can save money on and move around. There's things that they can do. It's just, of course, when they do it, that's
But the other thing is, and Phil already said, is that this team still needs to fill out a roster. So you mentioned
We
Avonte
couldn't
Maddox.
do a 53-man roster prediction right now because I don't think there's 53 men on this team.
So, but
Even
like,
if
that's
you
what I'm
added
saying.
10 draft picks, we're probably at like 35, 40 guys right now.
Right, but like that's what I'm saying. Like Avonte Maddox, yes, it would save you $2 million, but you also need someone to go play corner and safety because now Jalen Mills is gone, and you can't bank on Kayvon Wallace because he's young and hasn't played a lot. You can't bank on Rodney McLeod because he's hurt, and you really can't bank on Avonte Maddox because you don't know what he is as far as this new scheme goes. So I understand like the nickel and diming, but the fact of the matter is that you do still need to put 53 guys on the field.
And I'll say they're going to. I'll say the thing right now is patience. I'll say I know as Eagles fans, we're the first couple days of free agency, we're so used to them diving right in and getting all these moves and all that. But you look at a lot of these deals. You bring up Jalen Mills. He was over freaking paid. A lot of these deals are
way overpaid.
So
I'll get into some of these deals and some of these overpaid players later in the show. I mean, there is some for as teams that are as little money as there is to spend in the NFL this year. Teams are still spending. They're not holding back at all.
But what I find most interesting is the amount of 1-year deals, because they know like they're gonna take their money this year, and those are the players that are counting on themselves to get those big deals when there is more money to be divvied out.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of 1-year deals, but the Eagles can't even do that right now. That's what's infuriating.
Well, I'll say, who really wants to come here? There's reports of them having few interest with a couple guys. Johnson, the safety, who ended up going to Cleveland, I believe. There was a couple names. Of course, everyone had them connected to Tyrod Taylor and Brissett as backup quarterbacks.
I want to talk about that because that's an interesting point. And we've mentioned this with backup quarterbacks before.
Yeah.
Why those two?
Just because they have the
Familiarity
connection
with
with
the
Money and the Colts, so everyone
And also they're very similar quarterbacks to Jalen Hurts in style of play.
bringing up your point.
That's my point.
And so when I know we kind of had different quarterbacks in the past, but it's easier to transition from one quarterback to another if they're the same quarterback. You don't have to change the system. But I knew Jacoby Brissett was going to get decent money to go somewhere. I did not expect Tyrod Taylor to get equal money into a place where, potentially,
But you said just a second ago, it's easy to transition from one type of quarterback to the next if it's in this. Which, if you recall, a couple weeks ago there was a big disagreement on this very show when I said the same exact thing. Same exact thing.
I've been saying Tyrod Taylor since day one of free agency. I don't even remember this argument. What argument was this? Do we have film clip to roll? Can we roll the film?
We don't have it queued up.
He's talking about the argument we had a couple weeks ago where we said that Sirianni isn't going to go for a mobile quarterback just to fit his system. When we said he's going to try to bring in the best quarterback, and Chip felt that he's going to bring in a guy that's similar to Jalen Hurts because that's the offense he's similar going to run.
Well, then I definitely agreed with you on that. Then.
Well, we were disagreeing with him
You did not, because what you guys said, and it was the same thing, is that Sirianni brings the best out of his players.
Yes.
Well, that is true, and that is
he's
true.
Going to tailor the system around the players, and he won't care about what type of backup quarterback he brings in.
All right, so since we're on to the topic of quarterbacks, then let's get to that point on the agenda here and say,
Yeah.
all right, so Tyrod Taylor, Jacoby Brissett, Fitzpatrick, which we're going to get into that later on in the show. You know,
Andy
there's a lot of
Dalton.
names. Jameis Winston, all these names are going off the board. The big name backups or second tier quarterbacks are going and gone. We obviously didn't have the money to compete for those. So, Johnny, who do you want as the Eagles now, the new option as the number 2 quarterback on this team?
So I did post 2 videos of former Eagles on the Twitter page the last 2 days. You know, those could be some
Don't even
options.
bring up his name. Don't even bring up his name.
Who?
Matt Barkley and Chase
Who?
Daniel, not Daniels.
Oh,
Chase
God.
Yeah, everybody says Daniels. Hey,
But-
Matt Barkley, you know, that's there could be worse things than Matt Barkley.
No,
Again, if we're going to stick to similar quarterbacks, you know, RG3, there's a potential guy. I do like that name. Some people are commenting him.
I could see.
Yeah,
that
we're going to get to, you know, Mustaine. We're going to get to your name. We're going to get to your name in a minute or two. We got to finish up backup quarterbacks. before
How
get to
have
quarterback
we
ones.
not talked? How have we not talked about the fact that Nick Foles is going to be the backup quarterback in 2021
What, here in Philly?
here in Philadelphia? How
Well,
have we
they're
not
gonna have
discussed
to-
this?
The Bears will have to cut him for that to
But
happen.
think about it.
Because
The
they cannot
Bears
trade
just-
for him because of the cap hit and the number that has to be
I'm not
paid
paying
under
$6.5
deal.
million.
Yeah,
But
he's
remember,
owed like
the Bears-
$6 billion next year.
But the Bears have Trubisky and
No, they
now
don't.
Andy
Trubisky's free.
and Andy Dalton.
Isn't Trubisky free now?
Trubisky's
Yeah,
a free
he was a free agent.
Yeah, he's a free
Well,
agent
then
now.
they got to
Trubisky.
choose, and we will get the remaining quarterback. But I think Nick Foles ends up being the backup here in 2021.
But
And
Adam,
Sudfeld isn't on the roster anymore, so he's not even our number 2 at the moment.
yeah.
I mean,
my thing
Sudfeld is actually a guy I like them to bring back if they can get him on a cheap
No.
deal. He throws the best deep ball on the team last year. So I think Nate Sudfeld would be a great
Unstoppable.
quality option at the number 2. All joking aside, though, he's been here. He knows the team. He knows the players. You know, you could probably get him pretty cheap. Damn, the Sixers lost. Flyers are definitely losing. So we can all focus now on the Eagles and their great free agency now. But yeah, I don't know. There's got to be other names out there for the number 2 quarterback.
Adam brought up a good point earlier. He said draft a quarterback and save money.
Yeah.
Tom, the draft show that my co-host Tom Barnett always knows I like Jamie Newman from Wake Forest. He'd be a perfect option to draft in the middle rounds, but they do need a veteran behind. That's why.
All right, I'm going to throw a cheap option. His
Your
cap
boy.
trade for him is $850,000 this year. The Gardner Minshew, is available in a trade right now. Would
Hey, you
any
know
of
what?
you guys like to see the Gardner here in Philly?
How-
Again, he is actually somebody that hypothetically he's a younger veteran that could push Jalen Hurts.
Why not trade the 7th round pick we got back from
Yep.
San Francisco? For
I saw the
Marquise
same exact
Goodwin?
comments out there.
Yeah,
I
I
think
saw
it's
that.
not
I said,
an
perfect.
awful idea.
Let's
I
be
would
real.
take
Jeff?
Let's be real. They're going to end up with Geno Smith. Let's just be real.
Oh, God.
Yeah, they're the most, because the thing is, Lurie does not want any type of controversy whatsoever. So he's going to bring a veteran in here that's had
Alex
experience
Smith.
and starting experience in this league, but he's not going to be a threat to Jalen Hurts. They
How
don't
about-
want that controversy going into camp.
How about we do
I
this?
want to, but remember, Jalen Hurts is not Carson Wentz with the mentality. Jalen Hurts has thrived with the controversy, has thrived with the competition. So it actually might bring out more from Jalen Hurts. However, as far as the Philadelphia fan base goes and dealing with us and our shenanigans, it can't be anybody that can possibly take the job away. It can't be.
Oh, I thought you said the Sixers lost. Now it's tied up 93-93. Great.
No,
He was saying they were saying they were losing.
the Bucks were winning at that time.
All right. Anyway.
Furkan hit a 3.
So, do we have any other ideas on the board for backup quarterbacks here for a second?
Well, I'll
Joe
say
Flacco.
Alex Smith.
yeah. Say currently some guys. I'll say your boy Alex Smith.
I would love it. I would be the first person in Philadelphia to buy an Alex Smith jersey, FYI.
There's Colt McCoy, Robert Griffin III, Flacco, like Johnny mentioned, Josh McCown, Geno Smith, Blaine Gabbert, Jameis Winston. Winston re-signed. I would say this ESPN list is outdated. But even so, most of those guys.
There it is.
Someone had to bring it up. Leave it to Peanut.
I think Alex Smith will be perfect because he can be that what Josh McCown was for Carson, that guy that can be mentored. Has been there. Also was, I guess, Brian Johnson, the quarterback coach, was the backup quarterback to Alex Smith. So there's
Tito's playing baseball right now. He's not.
No, he's not. He retired.
He's done. He's off the Mets. He is no longer part of the Mets organization. He is
technically a free agent. After playing the freaking baseball for as much as he's had the last couple of years, he's not going back to a contact sport.
All right. Let's move on to quarterback one. Obviously, there was a major. I don't even remember who it was because he's getting told he's making fake clickbait content. But there's a major rumor going around this morning when we woke up that Deshaun Watson is heavily. I'm sorry.
It was Jason Lockenfor.
Yeah. Major rumors that Deshaun Watson is linked to the Eagles. Now, the Eagles are not on his 4-team list. But, so is there any realness to those rumors, you guys think? Or is that just fake clickbait content? That's the first part of the question. But the second part is, how much would you give up to bring Deshaun Watson here to Philadelphia to be your starting quarterback? Arguably a top 5 or 6 quarterback in the NFL.
I would give up for him. I mean, let's call it like it is. He is a top quarterback in the NFL. I would give up. I think the deal on the table that I've seen a lot is Jalen Hurts and 2 1s. I would do that trade.
I've seen a lot. That's not really realistic. You're looking at more like Jalen Hurts and 3 1s.
Yeah,
or Jalen Hurts, Andre Dillard, 2 1s and like a 2.
And
like that.
They can take Andre Dillard as a gift as far as I'm concerned. Like
but 2 first-round picks is not going to be enough. You're giving up 3 picks, probably all first-rounders.
But think about it. You're looking at with bringing in somebody like Deshaun Watson. You're looking for somebody who is already established in this league, right? If you're picking up somebody at the number 6 pick, and we're just saying this year, the number 6 pick, you're picking up somebody who will immediately establish themselves. So I would be fine with doing it. The problem is that Deshaun Watson is not going to leave a trash can organization to join our trash can organization.
Yep.
He wants to go somewhere where he can win right now.
The only thing
I'm just going to throw something out here real quick. So we're talking about, before we talk further about what Hurts would do, remember the Russell Wilson rumors? He was rumored to be traded, okay? People were talking about that. Supposedly from Dan Patrick and amongst other major media, people, the Bears offered the Seahawks 3 first-rounders, a 3rd-round pick, and 2 starters, and that still wasn't enough to get Russell Wilson. Now, Russell Wilson is a better quarterback right now than Deshaun Watson, but on the flip side of the equation, he's much older than Deshaun Watson. So you got to take that into account. If that didn't get it done for Russell Wilson, I don't think the Eagles could even come close to putting a package together good enough for Deshaun Watson. So continue on there.
My only issue with the whole Houston, he said, dumpster organization, everything. Late last night, something came out with some attorney in Texas saying something.
I don't want to bring that up because there's no substantiated, evidence of any of that stuff.
But the problem is the guy is a neighbor of Bob McNair, who is the owner of the Texans. It's like a smear campaign. So what does that do to his value, though?
Because everybody sees what it really is.
Well, not just the allegations, just the fact that they signed Tyrod Taylor to a possible $13 million deal.
Yeah.
So I would say that deal right there, that hurts the Texans' leverage when it comes to trading Deshaun Watson. The league knows that he wants out. They signed a veteran quarterback to a high short-term deal. So I feel if you are going to go after Watson, there could be a deal for possibly similar something to what Chip said, maybe only 2 first-rounders and Jalen Hurts. But the thing is, we don't know if they want Jalen Hurts. We don't know if Scully, the new head coach, even would be interested in Jalen Hurts, first off.
Right.
2, I feel this whole thing's being blown out of proportion because the exact words Jason Lockenfor said, don't count out the Eagles. He never said the Eagles are interested. He never
count in.
Yeah, I said he never said they were definitely interested. He never said they made an offer, contact them, or anything. So he's basically just suspecting that because of their current quarterback situation and they want to try and make a splash and try to improve this football team, that they might look into it. So I feel this whole rumor, report, whatever you want to call it, is blown way out of proportion. Nothing's going to come from it. It's just a lot of discussional topics for people like us and people in the industry.
Right.
And
the thing is, the coach of the Texans has said, we are operating moving forward like, Deshaun Watson is our quarterback. That's what they've said. That has been the company line over and over again. Deshaun Watson has not wavered. I am not playing for Houston anymore. So
it brings up this question. How long does Deshaun Watson sit out then if he doesn't get traded?
Whole damn year.
Wow.
We've seen it before. We've seen it before in sports. He'll sit out.
All right. Johnny, anything to add to the Deshaun Watson talk here to the Eagles?
The only interesting point about it is if he's traded, Houston owes money. So I just don't see them trading him. I just don't see them trading him unless they trade him after the draft. I just don't see it happening. I don't know.
If they trade him, obviously whoever they trade him to, they're gonna have to rework that contract where they're gonna take up most of that money or take away a lot of the compensation from the Texans.
But what have we been talking about? Eagles only have a small amount of money. How are you trading for a guy like that and having enough money? So there's a lot of parameters that, to me, don't make a lot of sense. If it happens, hey, it happens, but I just don't see it happening.
If the Eagles want to make it work, they'll find a way to make it work. And once again, it's me one of those things where they backload a lot of the contract. I would say you better hope it pans out. Otherwise, you're in the same situation. You go through the same cycle every 3 to 4 years where we're in now. But and you bring up a good point, Johnny, and that's the reason why I don't feel they're not gonna try to make that move because of the contract situation there also.
All right, so before we move on to the rest of the NFL, even though we already started talking about the rest of the NFL with Deshaun Watson, Johnny's been adamant not to freak out that the Eagles might sign somebody big in free agency at some point. Obviously they haven't even signed anyone other than Adrian Killins. Great signing.
That was the big guy I was talking about. Come on.
I did run a poll. It's not the poll question of the day, but I did run a poll today. Which one of the Eagles signings did they like the most? And it was like 80 votes, like 10% to Adrian Killins, and like the rest of the votes went to question mark, just so you know. That's how much people like him. Are there any needle movers, even remote needle movers, that are out there still, guys, that you think the Eagles can conceivably clear up the space to conceivably? That's a key word there, because like there's a lot of guys out there that they can't afford, obviously, and there's no way to do that. But is there somebody out there that you want to see the Eagles bring in at this point that will make a difference? We're not talking a second string quarterback, a punt returner, a kicker. We're not talking about any of that stuff. We're talking needle movers. Johnny, so you're the one that thinks they're going to sign somebody big. So go, Johnny.
So a needle mover for me, I know it may not be for you guys, is the linebacker Anthony Walker Jr., 25-year-old linebacker from Indianapolis. He would help. He'd be a day one starter, of course, but he's 25 years old. He's not 27, 28, 29, not these older free agents. He's a young free agent, 48 career starts. So for me, that would be a needle mover in my eyes, because this team has, you've talked about it, Phil, they need an actual linebacker, a guy that that can make a difference.
I just want to bring up the point, and I've seen a whole bunch of people start saying it finally on social media, that we all just assume that all these indie players were going to want to come to Philly because of the coaching staff here now. And how many of them have even remotely even been mentioned now in conversation with the Eagles? None. So maybe not everybody's rushing to come here from Indy. So I'm not jumping the gun on that. And again, a 25-year-old linebacker that could start day one. Again, I think he's going to be priced out of the Eagles.
And that's the thing, the priced out of the Eagles thing. Look, the big free agent signing that we had so far today was outrushed last season by Nate Sudfeld. So
he played in one half of a game. Not even
half of a game.
Not even a half of a game.
So let's just call it this. As far as bringing people in, I look at, because this is, we're looking at 1-year deals. Let's call it like it is. We're not looking at any kind of big deals. We don't have that kind of money. So it is feasible to me that you bring in a slightly older guy because you are just using him for a 1-year type deal. So then that's when I tend to, and I'm focused almost entirely on defense at this point. So I look at names like Xavier Woods. That's, he's 30 years old, but it's a reasonable move. He would be a starting corner on our team day one. I look at Keanu Neal from the Falcons. Again, but they're out of our price range. These are guys that are going to get big money deals. They're out of our price range.
Not necessarily. Keanu Neal's coming off of injury, so he may be somebody, but he also talked about moving to linebacker. So
he'd fit right in with us if he's already coming off of injury. He'd fit right in with us.
Sign the injury guys.
Yeah. I do. That's what I'm evaluating right now. I'm going, who can help this season and train, because we're going to have so many draft picks. We're going to have so many young guys and new systems. So teaching how to navigate a young system, but bringing them in for 1 year to do what we need them to do. I mean, hell, Richard Sherman's 32, but a free agent. You know what I mean? Like,
some of these older guys, and you know what? And there's a lot of talk now about the top tier wide receivers signing 1 year prove it deals. Yep. Again, there's going to be a lot of money next year. Yeah. But again, a guy like Kenny Galladay, Kenny G's not coming here.
Nope. Neither is Antonio Brown or Juju.
Can you convince Juju to come here? I doubt it. You know what I mean? So, and even the ones we talked about last week, like I think it was Jeff brought up Emmanuel Sanders last week. They're already off the board. So, there's not much. The best name out there that you could bring in cheap right now is Marquise Goodwin. He was cut by the 49ers today.
Oh, he was
probably get it. Yeah, he was cut today by the 49ers. So we got the pick back, and he's cut. So now we can bring him back. So, there's
what about Frank Gore?
Options. I personally don't think, unless the Eagles make a drastic cut or trade, I don't think there is a single chance that they could bring in any actual needle mover at all.
I think Johnny Higgins' point here is fantastic.
It is.
If you bring in, so I look at, we'll go Tom Brady, right? Tom Brady went to Tampa Bay, and what happened? All these guys who were established and big name players went to Tampa Bay because they knew what they were getting. Deshaun Watson is that same Pied Piper mentality. You put Deshaun Watson on this team, there's a reason to come here. There's no reason to come here right now.
Nope.
I got a needle mover for you, and I saw it on Twitter. I think it was Matt Templin put it in. He talked about J.C. Jackson from New England. He was given a second-round tender. He's only worth $3.4 million, but you have to give up a second-round pick. Would you do that for a guy whose last 3 years has 17 interceptions, 9 interceptions last year, and is 26 years old?
It sounds intriguing, but on the flip side of the equation, I'm not giving up a second-round pick for a 25-year-old.
But if you're using that second-round pick on a corner, that's the only reason it's a guy.
It's a money issue there. I'm not giving up a second-round pick for a guy I've got to pay now. That by the time we're competing for a Super Bowl in 2 to 3 years, you don't know how his legs are going to be. Cornerbacks are like wide receivers; they could go quickly. They can last a long time. Someone like Richard Sherman, but on the flip side, they can go real fast.
Or
I don't think he's going to. What's that?
Or you draft a guy like Sidney Jones, who was drafted in the second round, doesn't amount to much of anything.
Absolutely, and that's a chance you take with the draft. But on the flip side of the equation, we're not winning a Super Bowl next year. So you don't need to give up that second-round pick right now, because is he going to make us a Super Bowl contender next year? No. You develop somebody young and cheaper now, so you get 3-4 years of cheap, controllable player.
Yep.
You hope that Howie Roseman someday picks at least one random draft pick right.
Right, and that's the point that, again, we as Eagles fans, we're going, well, why aren't we getting this big-name player and this big-name player? Because we're not competing this season. I don't want to just throw money when this is the ultimate teach these guys how to play season and see if they're going to be long-term members of your team.
If we accidentally win, great.
But and then they get a little playoff experience.
That and a lot of these guys are waiting to see what the top. I would say they want to see what these top tier in their position, what they're making. They want them to set the market so they know what to ask and what they can try to get from these other teams. So I expect. I would say you're going to see deals starting to drop a little bit, and some guys getting a little bit desperate. So I think these next couple of days are going to be in the market for some of these.
Let's look at some of these deals in the NFL. First off, we talked about Kenny G and Juju not signing yet. There has been a boatload of money spent in the NFL, almost all of it by one team, the New England Patriots. We could start with the wide receiver market. Nelson Aguilar getting $26 million over 2 years
Yep.
from the New England Patriots. I mean, there are so many names. Cam Newton got $14 million. They gave Kendrick Bourne $22 million. They gave Hunter Henry and Juju and Jonas Smith a combined $88 million. The Patriots. What are they doing? The Patriots.
Curtis Samuel tonight just signed 3 years, $35.5 million with Washington. Yeah. I mean, there's these numbers
it's
are
actually
astronomical.
really bad news for the Eagles. Curtis Samuel is a very underrated player in the NFL. And if Gannon does not have this defense better prepared than last year, he's going to run all over us twice a year for the next 3 years.
Yep. Corey Davis to the Jets, 3 years, $37.5 million. I mean, these are big numbers. That's why I don't think the Eagles are any way in the running for any of these big name players. Because if Corey Davis is getting $37.5 million, Juju Smith-Schuster is going to get a big deal or a big 1 year deal so that he can sign an astronomical number next year.
Yeah, the Eagles are not going to be in the market for Juju. Once again, it's going to be an aging veteran like a T.Y. Hilton or some of these other guys.
Now, there's talk about T.Y. Hilton staying in Indy was earlier tonight. There were rumors floating around that they're really making a strong push to keep him in Indy.
But are
there any other deals that have been signed, guys, that you were surprised at? Like where they went, the team they went to, the money that was given out to them? Like,
there's two that are really interesting. One is I know Trent Williams is the best offensive tackle on the market, but to give a 32-year-old offensive tackle $138 million over 6 years, that's
55 guaranteed. It's a record for a lineman. That is an astronomical number. And you know what's really interesting about that one is the deal that Joe Thurney got from the Chiefs.
Yep.
Yeah.
He only got 5 for 80. He got 5 for 80. Then everybody was like wondering why the Chiefs got rid of 2 of their linemen, at the start of, before tampering. They cut the guys. Well, they obviously had a plan in getting, a great, replacement for them because obviously their line was in shambles in the Super Bowl. That's probably why they lost the Super Bowl. But if he got 5 for 80, how did Trent Williams? I know Trent Williams is a slightly better, but the age difference there. What's Thurney? 28, 27?
28, I think.
28. He's in that high 20s. He got $58 million less than Trent Williams. It's insane.
What about tonight? Patrick Peterson just signed with Minnesota for 1 year, $10 million. $10 million for and we talked to Jeremy Bridges, and he talked that Peterson isn't what he was. He's still a productive player, but for $10 million, it's he was able to make it.
And that's Patrick Peterson. I'm going to throw the best signings out there to Jeff to start with. All right, Ronald Darby and Jalen Mills got to come
go there.
$54 million. Jeff, so I don't cuss on the air or jump up and down in celebration, can you please tell everybody what you think of those 2 deals?
When I saw those numbers, I thought it was a freaking typo. I would say the fact that what was that?
I said absolutely.
Yeah, I would say if the fact that anyone's willing to give those 2 freaking bums that type of money, at least Darby, I would say Jalen Mills, okay, I know Johnny's been on the Jalen Mills train. I would say for him to come back to Philly with some from quality stats, but just from the eye test. And I would say, watch, that dude's going to become a freaking all-pro next year now with Bill Belichick as the freaking coach.
Well, then if he's an all-pro, then how is he a bum? So you're just kind of contradicting what you're saying.
No, because I'll say no, because look at the guys that go to New England and then leave New England. Most of the time, 9 times I'll say suck. Besides Brady, and I'll say Belichick is on a freaking. He is pissed off. The fact that Brady went out there and won a freaking Super Bowl without him. He says, "Screw the draft. I don't care. I'm becoming the 2009 Eagles, or whatever year it was,
2017. Yeah, but so wait. So here's my point. So first off, Johnny, do you think that the Jalen Mills deal was outrageous? Did they overpay for him?
I wouldn't have paid him $6.5 million. I'm going to say that.
Okay.
I'm not going to pay. Like I said, I would have kept him if it was $3.5 to $4 million. I would have kept him. But again, New England has money to spend
for 1 year. They gave him 4 years.
Now,
I'm not saying that.
My other point that I want to bring up, and Jeff, you kind of brought it up. It's the fact that Belichick is pissed and he's signing. The 2 best tight ends that are available. They're now both Patriots. He's signing good wide receivers. Like Nelson Aguilar had a resurgence in in Las Vegas. Yeah. Here's my question. If they were making a move this year, is Cam Newton the quarterback that's going to do it? I don't think it is. I think there are better quarterback options that could have done more of what Belichick wanted. Like, I'm surprised they didn't go after Alex Smith kind of thing.
No, Cam Newton last year. So we got to remember a couple things with Cam Newton. I know I got laughed at. I made a small dollar bet on Cam Newton win the MVP last year. It was like 66-1. It was just. I figured if anybody could solve the Cam Newton, issues, it would be Bill Belichick. But you got to remember how many guys skipped out last season because of COVID.
Yep.
Cam Newton himself got COVID. He was coming back from a shoulder surgery. Okay, they had literally zero talent around him. But I'm just saying, if I'm going to jump back on the Cam Newton bandwagon, Cam Newton might be a top 10 fantasy quarterback next year when all is said and done.
You look at it like this. They have Jonnu Smith, they have Hunter Henry, Julian Edelman, Nelson Aguilar, Kendrick Bourne, plus their running backs, Sony Michel, and Damian Harris. Plus they added the offensive line. I know it's a lot of these. How are they going to plug in and play? I understand that, but I'm going to trust Cam Newton more than I'm going to trust Andy Dalton or these other guys that are out
we
there.
could touch on the quarterbacks. Dalton got $10 million from the Bears. Fitzpatrick got $10 million from the Washington football team. We already talked about Tyrod Taylor. Got 12.5 to go to Texans, probably take over as a starter there. There's some big 1-year deals going out to quarterbacks. Cam Newton got a 1-year deal for $14 million.
Right.
Are we surprised about any of those moves from like the Daltons and the Fitzpatricks and stuff?
I mean, I'm not really at this point.
You pay for quarterbacks. The fact that Chase Daniel kept on getting $7-8 million deals back up. These guys getting these 1-year deals is not surprising. So, especially if some of these guys are going to go in there and compete for a starting job.
I mean, I think the biggest free agency deal that confused me was the Taylor Heineke for the Washington football team getting all the money he did after one playoff start where he willed them almost as far as he did.
Well, no, the craziest deal is everyone freaking blew up, not realizing the ramifications of the deal when Taysom Hill got his 4-year, $140 million deal. When they just looked at the number in the years, thinking, "Why the hell is this guy getting $140 million?" When
it's all fake. It's all voided money.
They can void it after this 1 year. So essentially, it's a 1 year, however much he's supposed to get.
So who's the quarterback for the Saints going to be? Because I know when Breeze was not playing, it was Taysom Hill. But does that mean that Taysom Hill is the starting quarterback for the Saints, or is Jameis Winston
it's probably
that's a legitimate question?
I think there's going to be a legitimate competition in camp, and if Taysom Hill doesn't win it, Taysom Hill's going to go back to what his role was with Drew Brees. Yeah. But Sean Payton loves him some Taysom Hill. I'm not sure why, but he loves him some Hill. And, there's a really solid chance that he becomes the starting quarterback next year, or at least they go into the first week. Now, whether he can hold on to it, I don't know. I don't buy the Taysom Hill as an NFL.
No, neither do I. We saw it live, when he played the Eagles. It's just, it wasn't worth it. Now, did the Patriots do enough to surpass the Bills is the question.
Well, that's a big question because we just said, can Cam Newton return to any form? If Cam Newton can play even close to his previous form, absolutely they did enough to push.
Yeah, to push.
But it's going to come down to Cam Newton. The rest of the pieces will work. Jeff said it a few minutes ago. Players play their best under Bill Belichick's defense. That defense is getting back so many players that opted out last year. And, the moves they've made, I mean, they're going to be good next year. It's whether they'll be great, and it's all going to come down to Cam.
And never count out Belichick. Belichick, I would say, has never had, I think, back-to-back losing seasons since he's been with the Patriots. So I would say he's coming out to play, which is why you're seeing him spend all this money in free agency.
Absolutely. I want to go on record today, St. Patrick's Day, March 17th, and saying the worst thing that could happen to the NFL as a fan is a Bill Belichick, Tom Brady Super Bowl. I don't want to see it. I don't want the storylines. I don't want the student has become the teacher, Star Wars references. I don't want that. Somebody has to knock out one of those two teams. I can't do it. And yes.
All right. Let's wrap up free agency here and let's move on to some other segments here we got for the night. Real quick, got to pay some more bills here real quick. Obviously, Hemp Bombs. It's a premium CBD product. I use it myself every single day. Hempbombs.com. If you go to their website, use promo code AATBirds, you get 20% off your next order. Again, I use it. It's premium product. It's not overly expensive as some of the other products out there. So definitely check out Hemp Bombs. 20% off AAT Birds. Click the next banner there for me, Chipper. We also got 99jersey.com. We partner with them. That's where my good Sugar Shane Falco cost me a ton of money in the Sugar Bowl. But if you use AAT Birds for 20% off at checkout, you'll save some of that money and make some of that money back. They got great high-quality jerseys. Wow. They got Al Bundy jerseys. They got Kobe Bryant high school jerseys. They got Mighty Ducks jerseys. They got it all.
Scheming Freddie Beeman.
They got
Willie
Freddie Beeman on there. So
Willie
check out 99jersey.com. 20% off if you use the promo code AATBirds. All right, let's swing it back.
Wait, do you know that there's a March Madness bracket that they can still get?
You want to throw that out there for a second?
I just want to know if you know.
Yeah, $5 at allabout-the-birds to Venmo. Send us a message. We'll get you into our March Madness bracket. Cash prizes, merchandise prizes. Again, merch on our website, aatbirds.com/shop. Free shipping till the end of the week. So make sure you check that out and support the podcast. So anyway, poll question of the week, guys. I've been doing this thing now a couple weeks in a row now. We're getting off of free agency. We're just going to have a little fun for the last 15, 20 minutes of the show with our last two topics. So the poll question of the week, Shady McCoy came out and said he thinks he's a Hall of Famer. It's a debatable conversation. Drop your comments in the comment section, people, if you believe Shady McCoy is a Hall of Famer. But the question is, what Andy Reid era player, and I will give Chip credit, he gave me the idea for this poll question. I tweaked it a little bit, but he did give me the idea. What Andy Reid era player is most deserving a Hall of Fame nod? I put the poll question up as Donovan McNabb, LaShawn McCoy, Jason Peters, and other. Jason Peters is leading the pack right now. Got a couple hundred votes, 54%. McNabb at 26%. McCoy at 16%. Other at 3%. John Runyon, Deshaun Jackson, Trey Thomas, and Danny Watkins were the others that got votes. Hey, I'm just reading what the poll answers were. So we'll start with Johnny. Where would your vote go?
So the tough part with this is Jason Peters is sure in Hall of Famer already. So that one's tough. I'm more thinking of the guys who are on the edge. Those other names, we've talked about it. McNabb is no doubt, someone that I really like and I really think is deserving to get in. So I'll go the McNabb route and say that just because I've talked about it before. So I'm just going to stick with.
I think McNabb would be much more talked about if he wasn't such a pain in the ass to everybody and was such a. I mean, he was an odd character when he played for the Eagles, but his post-playing career, he's really rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. Jeff,
I think.
Oh, sorry, Chip.
No, I was just going to say, I think if you look at McNabb and you look at the numbers and what he did as an Eagle and you look at the domination of his time in Philadelphia, when you're in that discussion for the best quarterback of a decade for a conference, I mean, I think that you have to consider him for the Hall of Fame. McNabb, I think if he had won a Super Bowl, there's no competition. There's no conversation. I think the only thing is that he didn't win a Super Bowl. Because, his
well, since
choices.
you're talking, where's your vote going?
So I want to say McNabb. Yeah, I look at Dave Akers, but kickers so rarely make it in. I did not get one comment for David Akers, and I was surprised.
We had him last week. No one voted for him.
I know. So I have to go with, the end caps. John Runyon and Trey Thomas are NFL Hall of Famers in my mind. And it's so hard for offensive linemen to make it in. But those two were Hall of Famers. You look at you think about the NFC East and the battles between John Runyon and Michael Strahan. It was what they said about the NFC East for 10 years.
But Twitter polls only let you to vote for one. You cannot vote for two. So you only can pick one.
All right. So if I have to choose between those two.
One answer.
He's a friend of the show. He's a friend of the show, Trey Thomas.
All right. I was going to say,
he's a friend of the show, Trey Thomas.
All right, there you go. Trey Thomas, we love Trey Thomas.
He's a friend of the show.
Jeff, where are you going with this poll?
I would say, like Johnny said, Peters is automatically a Hall of Famer, just the way he's been performing. And I'll say the Chip's point, I'll say about Trey. Trey was a good offensive lineman, and I'll say one of the best for a while in this league, but when you compare him to Jason Peters and Trey Thomas, obviously JP is far and beyond, I would say. So I would say with him playing as well as he did, I just don't consider Trey a real Hall of Famer. I would say the way, like you said,
coming on our show again after that comment.
I'm sorry.
I tried to do the friend of the show thing.
Jeff, you have to look at it this way though. When Trey Thomas played, you have to look at Walter Jones, you have to look at Willie Roaf, you have to look at Chris Samuels. There's only
I'm
enough
not saying he
spots.
wasn't solid, but
No,
like Chip said, offensive linemen are very difficult getting in, and I'll say
I don't think it's so clear cut for Jason Peters. I mean, I think he'll eventually get in, but for as great as Jason Peters is talked up, he ain't getting in on his first or second try.
He might. I'll say
the
fact that he won. Yeah, he made the Pro Bowl like 8 straight years. He was an All Pro multiple times, which Trey and John were not. And then I'll say you had the Super Bowl with for Peters, even though he wasn't playing the game, he's still on the roster. But
I think if
Kevin
Jason Peters,
you're banned after that comment.
I think if Jason Peters tries to play another season, then he really starts to question his Hall of Fame candidacy on the first or second ballot. What was the results for Brian Westbrook?
Brian Westbrook was not mentioned once.
He's not a Hall of Famer either.
If he's
I
not
didn't
a
say
Hall
he was
of
a
Famer.
Hall of Famer. I just think of
I
the
actually think
great
LaShawn McCoy
Eagles.
is closer to a Hall of Famer than people give him
I
credit
agree.
for.
I agree.
No, I'd say Shady. Yeah, he was a good running back in this
Over
league.
11,000 career rushing yards.
But I'll say the fact that he threw the comment that he was the best player in his era, no freaking way. I'll say he wasn't better than AP. He wasn't better than some of the other guys in that played at the same time as him. Yes, stats are a little thing, but I checked the eye test, and when you watch LaShawn McCoy, did you ever see a guy that had that it factor like a Barry Sanders that said this dude has it? He's a future Hall of Famer. Stats.
All right, so just so you know, LaShawn McCoy is 22nd all-time in rushing yards, 11,102. Everybody above him. I'm looking. I got to count real quick. 1, 2, 3.
Andy ran him to the ground, and after he left here, he was not productive. If he continued to be productive after he left Philadelphia, then okay, he has an argument. But the fact that he brought up the comment because he won back-to-back Super Bowls without playing a goddamn single down,
That reason's dumb.
17,
his freaking mouth up.
17 of the 21 players ranked ahead of him are already in the Hall of Fame. Frank Gore and Adrian Peterson will be in the Hall of Fame. So that leaves 19 of the only players ahead of him in rushing that aren't in the Hall of Fame, Corey Dillon and Steven Jackson.
So
So
Jeff, you said that he wasn't productive. Now, he played only 12 games in 2015, had 895 yards, 3 touchdowns, but then bounced back and had 1,267 yards and 13 rushing touchdowns, then had 1,138 yards and 6 touchdowns. You know, and that's when he was 29. Then you hit the 30-year-old wall or whatever. But he had, like Phil said, he had 11,000 rushing yards, 73 touchdowns. And then if you look at his receiving, he had over 500 receiving receptions, and he had another 16 touchdowns receiving. I understand.
I'm not voting for LaShawn McCoy. I voted for Donovan McNabb.
But his numbers are a lot closer than
They're a lot closer than people
the way
give him
you
credit
said. The eye test was there. Watching him, you could see
there was only a
Pro
couple
Bowl type of
moments.
player.
There was only a couple of moments where you saw that the electricity that LaShawn McCoy brought, especially in that snowball game. But what other memorable moments do you have of LaShawn McCoy as a Philadelphia Eagle or in this league?
His 2 years with Chip Kelly, he had almost 3,000 yards rushing.
All I'm saying, he had 3,000 yards rushing.
Total in 2 years? He
2 years. You just said with Chip Kelly. You made it sound like it was 1 year. I was saying, if he had 3,000 yards freaking rushing, then he's a freaking god. But I would say, going back to my vote real quick, I would say you have to go with Donnie Mack. I would say he's probably the closest one on the list. The only reason why, I'll say to Chip's point a little bit, what he brought up about him being as dominant as he was in this league, which he was for a long period of time, is that the NFC was weak. I'll say the division was weak. And then once there was some competition, I'll say, and the fact that he was considered a good quarterback in this league during his time, but I would say for a long time he was overshadowed by the other guys. He was overshadowed by Brady. He was overshadowed by Breeze. He was overshadowed by Big Ben, who won 2 Super Bowls.
Everybody is overshadowed by those names. They're the greatest to play the damn game.
Well, that's what I'm saying. He's coming from that era where those guys outshined him. So I would say with him not winning that Super Bowl, yeah, he made the Super Bowl and he made the Eagles competitive and won a lot of playoff games, and his stats are comparable to some other guys. I that Super Bowl just holds him back. I would say he was a competitive quarterback, but in some guys' eyes, he wasn't a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Jeff, you have to look at it like this.
Johnny Higgins' question. LaShawn McCoy is 38th all-time in all-purpose yards, and almost every single name above him, outside of Josh Cribbs, Henry Ellard, I don't even know who he is. He's from the 80s.
Is Josh Cribbs the Hall of Fame now because he's ahead of? Is Josh Cribbs going to make the Hall of Fame now because he's ahead of McCoy?
I'm going through the names right now. All right, relax. Josh Cribbs is ahead of him. Steven Jackson is ahead of him, and Ted Ginn Jr. They're the main names ahead of him, but almost every single name ahead of him again.
Can anyone check on this?
Oh, hold on.
I'm on Twitter right now on my other screen. I don't see it.
But I'll let you guys look. I wanted to bring one point up Jeff was talking about with McNabb. So if McNabb wins that Super Bowl, he's a sure and Hall of Famer. It's the same thing. If you take those 2 Super Bowls away from Eli Manning, he's in the same boat as McNabb, on the edge but not in. You agree with me?
Super Bowl. The thing is, Super Bowls make a difference. The voters, they look at championships, and I'll say, and Eli, I'll say his numbers are critical, and he was a turnover machine, but. You look in those 2 Super Bowls, he put the team on his back to make those clutch throws. Granted, he had a lot of help from Plaxico and David Tyree with that magical catch, but he put his team in position to make those plays and ultimately then win the Super Bowl. And that's the difference between Eli and Donovan. Donovan freaking somewhat quote-unquote choked or threw up or whatever it was and allowed the Eagles to freaking lose that Super Bowl down 10 points and wasn't efficient enough.
So I have one more name that I want to throw out there, and again, I'm gonna read this person's stats, and I want to see if you think, without me revealing the name, if he qualifies for the Hall of Fame. So it's a defensive player, 794 tackles, 12 forced fumbles, 12 fumble recoveries, 47 career interceptions, a 5-time Pro Bowler, first-team All-Pro, second-team All-Pro, Walter Payton Man of the Year.
No,
What's that?
Never mind. Keep going.
And a Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year. He is in the Eagles Hall of Fame.
Eric Allen? No, it's not.
It is not Eric. It's got to be Andy Reid era.
Oh, you're doing Reid?
It's Andy Reid era.
Is it Trot?
It is not Jeremiah Trotter. Think about the interceptions. It's 47 career interceptions.
I thought Asante, but I don't know.
Should Troy Vincent be an NFL Hall of Famer?
Yeah,
Troy Vincent.
Borderline.
Borderline. The fact that Eric Allen isn't in, I don't see him getting in then.
Fair point.
I see that.
Fair point.
Just still to update everybody, I've been sidetracked. I've been checking my phone for the Stephen Gilmore news that one of our followers posted. I have not found it anywhere on Twitter or Facebook, so I cannot confirm it in any way. I'm trying every beat reporter that I follow to get this information.
Maybe it's just speculation. They're maybe trying to get him, or I don't know where you saw it. But
I don't have anything from Schefter, from any of the major names. Yeah, nobody's even the low-level people that I follow putting it out there. I check Facebook, Twitter. Sorry, I'm not going to talk about that till I know it's 100%.
Yeah, exactly.
100% sure. All right. So we got one more little fun segment as we wrap up this show. St. Paddy's Day. Hope you're all celebrating responsibly. The luck of the Irish. Okay,
a great Disney movie.
I had this idea.
I love that movie.
I had a closing idea for a segment. I was going to talk about the greatest Eagles Irish athletes of all time, and I couldn't find
it.
They did
not sign James O'Shaughnessy or Nick O'Leary, so he can't.
I could not find a single Irish athlete ever to talk about for the Eagles. And then I'm like, all right, let's talk about Irish Philadelphia athletes. Not many of those either. So we switched it up. So we are going to talk about the luckiest Eagles moments in their history. Luck of the Irish, luck of the Eagles. Chip, why don't you go first with your luckiest? I got 7 written down, so I can go last.
So mine
luckiest Eagles moment in your career and that you like.
So mine is not so much a moment as it's a starting point of a series of moments. So again, another friend of the show, David Akers, referred to the pickle juice game.
Damn it, I'm crossing my first one off the list. the hell? It's the number one on my list.
The
Maybe you should've
goddamn
went first,
pickle
though.
juice game.
I know
It's
exactly.
just you talk about a moment. It was against Dallas. It starts off a season and they just beat the hell out of Dallas, and it begins their run of this just playoff excellence. So this one moment, and we still talk about it today, the pickle juice game.
Damn you. All right, Jeff. Luckiest moment in Eagles history. And by the way, real quick, Brandon Graham Strickstack was not lucky. That was a hell of a freaking play.
I would say I was a little bit torn between two moments. I was seeing where you guys wanted to go, so I knew which one to go with. But since Chip one,
Just take my next one. Just take the next one on my list, please.
okay, I won't take one. I don't know if it's on your list or not, but it's not really a game. But it's like similar to Chip, the moments that led up to the Eagles moment, and that is the 2008 Eagles season going to Week 17 against the Dallas Cowboys, where they had literally a 3% chance, I believe it was, when they needed the Oakland Raiders to beat the Bucks and the Vikings to lose, I think, to the Bears.
There was more than I think there were 75 teams that had to lose that day for the Eagles to make the playoffs.
Yeah, there was two or three moments going into that 4:00 game against the Dallas Cowboys that ended up happening that no one gave a chance to ever happen, and they make that into a playoff game, essentially winning in against the Dallas Cowboys for the last wild card spot in the NFC.
That's Garcia.
Yeah, well, that wasn't Garcia.
Wasn't that a Garcia day?
No, Garcia was 2006. That was McNabb's last year. That's where they torched them 44-6.
That's right.
Shut down Tony Romo and T.O. I'll say Chris Clemens had a fumble return for a touchdown. It was just a slaughterhouse. And honestly, I felt it was destiny. The fact that everything lined up perfectly, that them to make that playoff run and ultimately losing to the freaking Arizona Cardinals in the championship game, thanks to goddamn freaking Quentin Demps allowing Larry Fitzgerald to go torching us.
Yeah, it wasn't McNabb's fault losing that game. It was the
defense.
That's right.
So,
Johnny.
So if you guys don't choose my other one, I'll bring up my other one then.
That was not on my list, so I got you. Johnny.
All right, so I thought about this. I figured you guys would pick the ones that were, talked about the most. So I went. It's the same game. There's two moments in this same game. 2017 against the Atlanta Falcons. Before the half, there was a thrown ball to a Atlanta defender. I think it was Keanu Neal. Hit his knee into Torrey Smith's hands, and they wind up getting a field goal at the end of the half. But the one I'm really thinking about is the Julio Jones right through his hands at the end of the game in the divisional round. To me, that's luck, because Julio Jones doesn't miss catches. So it was lucky that it went through his hands. It was lucky it wasn't an interception at midfield. So to me, there was a lot of luck in that game. That whole game seemed to be a little lucky. So that's where I'm going in terms of the luck aspect.
You guys left so many moments on my list here. I love it.
We tried to think outside the box. Like, we didn't want to do the Miracle at the Meadowlands because those are fantastic.
That's going to be one of our closing parts of Lucky Irish. We'll debate that in a second. Which one of the Miracle of the Meadowlands is the luckiest moment? That's what we're going to say. Which one?
Deshaun.
70 of them.
No.
So my luckiest moment, 4th and 26.
Yeah.
Freddie Mitchell, Donovan running around, throws a ball up there. A guy that catches, 3 passes a day or a year. Freddie Mitchell comes down with that. I don't even know if he really fully got the 26 yards. It's debatable to this day. I think that might have been
baby.
It was a generous spot, in my opinion. I still love it, and we would love to have Freddie and FredEx right here on this show. But that, in my opinion, outside of the pickle juice, the onside kick to start the pickle juice, that was my luckiest moment. But 4th and 26 would be my number one, and I got more. We could quickly go through any more that you guys got.
I'll say the only one I had was to the 2005 season. I forget what the final score was or anything like that, but it was against the San Diego Chargers, where the Chargers were about to kick the game-winning field goal to win the football game, and then I would say Matt Ware. I can't remember if it was Quentin Michael or Matt Ware who blocked it, but Matt Ware returned it for a touchdown and ended up winning the football game.
Yeah. And I think, you throw in there, the double doink, that's as lucky as it possibly gets.
Is as lucky as you can get.
Yeah.
More lucky that he wasn't kicking for us anymore rather than the fact that, he just happened to be kicking for the team we were playing. But yeah, I mean, the Miracle Meadowlands, I think we were all trying to think outside the box once we had this topic.
I've got one outside of the box. All right, guys?
Okay.
Because imagine where our franchise would be. There is a miracle. Normally, Jeffrey Lurie lets his general manager run the show, no matter how bad he does. Okay? For some reason, there was some luck on our side that he did not let Chip Kelly do the deal for Marcus Mariota.
Oh, God.
That is luck, in my opinion. Could you imagine the amount of picks he was trying to trade and players to get Marcus Mariota here in that draft? Where would our franchise – we would not have Super Bowl 52 if Chip Kelly did the deal for Marcus Mariota.
And I'm
Jaguars,
thankful
we
for
have
that
a ton of
every
cap
single
space.
day.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of my little sneaky little ones on the list there in case you took all mine. So – what about
glad I
the Philly
took your
special?
first
What about
one.
the Philly special? Was that a luck or was it not luck?
I mean, it was luck that, boring vanilla Peterson decided to listen to his quarterback who called the play. I think that was exciting and lucky. But I mean, besides that was just they saw something, they practiced it, and they called it. That wasn't like you needed the ball to break a certain way.
Right. Okay. What about Vince Papale making the Eagles as a walk-on? Is that a lucky moment or is that
That's not luck.
just no? And all the
That was hard work, baby.
And
That was
how
hard
much
work.
success he had. There's no luck involved in it because if the team doesn't make that ridiculous publicity stunt, he might not get discovered.
Oh, exactly. I agree on he won't get discovered, but I would say he put in the hard work, and Dick Vermeil ultimately felt he had something and went for it. That's like saying the last man on the roster was lucky to make the roster at the end of the day.
Oh,
So-
here's a great one because this would have the Eagles would have probably drafted him if the Dolphins didn't do this. We're going to talk about the Mariota trade. We got to talk about Deion Jordan getting drafted by the Dolphins, trading above us to take him.
Yeah.
It's a huge moment right there. So sometimes other people's mistakes is our luck.
That is true.
Anybody
That's a good
got
one.
anything else to add to that before we close this party out for the night?
Not
No.
drafting
All right, that was
Ricky.
that was a lot of silence. So
That's
we're
a
just
good
going to
one.
go. Yeah, not drafting Ricky Waters or Ricky Williams. Sorry.
Yeah.
There you go. All right, let's wrap this up, people. All right, again, thank you everybody for watching the show tonight. All About the Birds, the flagship show, the weekly report every Wednesday, 9:15. If you're on Facebook, make sure you're hitting like and share. If you're on Twitter, follow, retweet. If you're on YouTube, the thumbs up button, subscribe. Make sure you're following us on all platforms. We greatly appreciate everyone's support. Our regular show lineup, it's Mondays, Chips and Dish, 8 p.m. Tuesdays, Fairway to Heaven, 9 p.m. This every Wednesday at 9:15. Fridays, exclusive on YouTube, the Birds, Beer, and BS show. Is it a set time or is it kind of fluctuating the time?
It fluctuates, and then we post on YouTube, and it's not live. So this
Okay,
week,
gotcha.
this week it'll be posted Saturday. I have an obligation, a prior obligation on Friday, so it'll be posted
Gotcha.
Saturday evening.
All right, gotcha. And then we've got obviously Draft Talk at 9 o'clock every Saturday. Do you guys, Chip, Johnny, do you guys got any special guests this week on your shows?
Not yet. I'm gonna work something up. I think it's gonna depend on what happens this weekend and how badly my bracket gets slaughtered.
There you go. Which that was a great show.
And,
Your wife did a fantastic job. I
Right?
think we're going to kick you off the team and bring her
Do
on.
it.
Because
Do
she is way more entertaining than you are, and there's no doubt about it. Can we agree?
I am aware.
Can we agree, guys, on that one?
Yes, we can agree on that.
Sure.
Even he's agreeing with it on us. Again,
But speaking of brackets,
oh,
should we
there
talk about
go.
this bracket thing?
I
one
was
time?
just going to go into our sponsorships, but okay. There you go. March Madness. $5 to Venmo. Join our March Madness bracket. Cash prizes, merchandise prizes. Have a lot of fun with March Madness. I got Oklahoma State winning the thing. I'm the only one probably in the whole group that's got them picked to win. That's just me. I'm just going on a whim there because I want to be different.
You are definitely different.
I am
Go
definitely-
Zags.
Go
Zags.
Yeah, exactly. Again, don't forget to follow all of our sponsors, Hemp Bombs, the 99 jerseys, all of our sponsors, and of course, the most important one, our store, aatbirds.com/shop. Free shipping on all products through the end of the week. We greatly appreciate it. And also, make sure if you go to our website, you can get all of our podcasts in podcast format, like on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, all those different places. Link to it right from our website. And it's also where all our great writers' content is. Adam Mack was part of the Georgia Bulldogs Pro Day media today. He did a write-up. He got to ask some questions of potential Bulldogs that could be draft targets for the Eagles in the upcoming draft. So make sure you check out all the great articles and content on our website. And if you want to join our team, writing, podcasting, producing, making content, anything, hit one of us up. We'll get you to join the team. Our team is growing, and we're just trying to have the biggest winning team in the podcast industry in the Philadelphia area. So hit us up on that. Again, we got Jeff Warner, Chip Keggy, Johnny Uleka. I am Phil Stifel, and we are going to end the show as we always do. Go Birds.
Go Birds.
Go Birds.